Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to choose a kayak that is just right for you based on your preferences and your needs. So first I'm going to give you some questions that you need to ask yourself and answer, possibly on a piece of paper, so that you can figure out what your needs are as well as what your preferences are. Then I'm going to give you some information on the 4 basic types of kayaks. The questions you first need to ask yourselves is, the first most important question is, where and how will you use your kayak? So how are you going to use it? All these will determine something different, because some situations will require that you can put more things on your kayak. Other situations will require that your kayak goes a little faster, easier to maneuver. You want to figure out your budget. Money is always a factor. The weight capacity you want your kayak to have. How many people are going to be on your kayak? Or do you want to take your dog on it? Are you going to fish from your kayak? What about your transportation and storage needs? How are you going to get your kayak to the water? How are you going to store it at home? So each of these questions will give a certain scenario, and there is a solution for everything. So the 4 basic kinds of kayaks I'm going to talk about is the sit-on kayak, sit-in, foldable kayak, and inflatable kayak. So sit-on kayaks, the first thing is, where will you use it and how? These kayaks are best in fair weather, meaning mild or hot weather, so spring through fall, because you will get wet on this kayak. Now the good thing is these kayaks are self-draining, so you're not going to have all this water come on top. Whatever goes in, it will actually come out on the bottom. I would not recommend this kayak on rapid rivers. It's way too dangerous. Just don't do it. This is not the kind. Also, this is not best for the ocean, but it could actually be okay. The very first time I went on a kayak was with my sister on a double sit-on kayak, and we were in Florida in the ocean, and it was hot, and the water was kind of warm, and the waves were coming over us, and we didn't care. It was great. So if that's what you're doing, it's great. But if you're going to go in the ocean in the winter, freezing waters is just not good. You're going to get super wet. So if you want to go in the ocean, you actually have a better kayak for that. This type of kayak is not going to be very fast, and it's not very easy to maneuver it. So it's kind of like a teeny tiny boat. You're sitting on top, and you want to go left, you're going to paddle to the left a little bit more. You want to go to the right, you're going to do that to the right. So it's going to switch directions, but not very fast. So this is why it's better on a lake, on relatively still water or slow water. It's also not very efficient. So for you to get from point A to point B, you're going to have to be paddling a lot. So this is why this is probably not the best kayak to go on long distance trips, although you can make it. This kayak probably has the most cargo space, especially compared with the sit-on kayak. As you see, there's some up here. There's actually more room in the back, and there's even some room where my legs are, and you could strap down everything. You could clip it to it. You can actually put quite a lot of stuff on it, as long as the weight capacity is okay. So if you are going on some long distance trips where you want to spend the night and have some minimal camping gear, as long as the weight is okay and you're okay with paddling to some distances, this one would work. So this is about 50 pounds. So 50 pounds is kind of okay for most people to load it up, unload it, take it down to the water, but it's best to be carrying it half a mile out to the water. Is just way too heavy and way too awkward to carry it for one person. This one is 10 feet, and that's a pretty standard size, although they go up to 13 feet. You will probably need a truck. That would be the best way, but you can also get all kinds of racks to put on top of your car or your SUV, so you can always figure it out. This one, I have a short bed truck, so this one fits with the tailgate up, It kind of sticks out a little bit, but it's okay. It's pretty secure. If I have the tailgate down, it sticks out a little more. I could tie it down and everything is safe. I've done it. So storage can be a problem if you live in an apartment, for example, especially if you live upstairs. You're going to have to carry it up, carry it down, and it will take up a considerable amount of space in your apartment. It's probably best if you have a house with a garage. So if space is an issue, there are other types of kayaks that will solve that problem. So this one has 230 pounds weight capacity. That means me and everything else that will go on it. So if I take my dog, that extra weight counts. If I take whatever gear, it could be another 10, 20 pounds. So everything that goes on it counts, and you don't want to reach that limit. You're gonna sit pretty low in the water. So you probably wanna be a little bit below that. Now, if this weight capacity is not good enough for you, look for some that might have 270 pounds. Might be a little bit more expensive, but I think it would be worth it. If you need much more weight, then you can get a double kayak, which means there's room for two people. So obviously the weight capacity will go up. I think it's usually gonna be 350 pounds or something like that. This is a good kayak for fishing. I think you can probably fish out of any of them, but I think this is probably the most suitable. It's made of plastic, or they have fiberglass and different material. You're not going to puncture it. You have enough cargo space to put everything around. You could get to things. So usually you could get a fishing kayak that will normally be longer, I would say 13 feet, maybe narrower, so it could be a little bit faster. You're gonna have some rod holders on it, maybe a higher seat or some other modifications. You're going to spend a lot more money. So let's get to the money. The price for this kayak usually starts around 200, and that's how much this was. Although after season, so I think after the summer, it might go down as low as 150. But everything can have more features and be more fancy and fulfill more needs and then be more expensive. So even a sit-on kayak can be as expensive as $1,000. You actually sit inside, so your upper body will be shown like mine and your lower body will be sitting inside. This is okay to take out in any kind of waters, including some fast rivers and the ocean. Just imagine you're sitting and have your feet in there, and you can kind of use that to maneuver. The way this kayak is, it's sort of a little more round, although I've seen some flat top ones, but the bottom is a little more round, so it's easier to maneuver, kind of like a sports car. It's also often much longer, or at least skinnier, or at least the ends are pointier. So you're sitting in there, you can totally maneuver it. So this is why it's better in rivers, where you need to kind of get around different places, or in the ocean, you have to maneuver those waves. And then of course it's going to work in any kind of slow water. Cargo space, with a sit-in type kayak, you are not going to have that much space. You're going to have some in the front and some in the back, but I think you have a lot more with your sit-on kayak. So if you need to go to a trip where you want to take your camping gear, you're going to have to really minimize that gear. This kayak is also very efficient, so if you need to go to longer distances, this is the type of kayak to get. The weight and the size is about the same as the sit-on kayak. Now, everything I'm telling you here, don't take it like this is how it is for every single kayak, because they're coming up with new ones all the time. So they're going to come up with lighter ones and longer ones and shorter ones. But this kind of kayak can be a little bit shorter than 10 feet, sometimes 8 feet. So it can be a little bit lighter. It's not going to be heavier than a sit-on kayak. Weight capacity is about the same as the sit-on, so you're going to have about 230, 250. As the price goes up, you can probably get maybe 300 pounds. So fishing, you can fish from this kayak. I have seen people just this weekend fishing from it, but I wouldn't really like it so much because, like I said, you don't have as much cargo space, and on my kayak I can just lean forward and reach all kinds of things, and with that one you're sitting in. So, and a lot of times, like I said, it's round, not so much flat. So although it's doable, this is not really designed for fishing. The price is going to be about the same, usually $250, $300, and it will go all the way up to $1,000, $1,600. Now there are some specialty type kayaks. I don't even know their names. You know, that's when we're talking about over $1,000. There are some different types of waters you want to go in, or different things. So that's how the price goes up. But like I said, here I'm talking about your basic kayaks. And if you choose a sit-in kayak, yes, you could get one for about $200-$300. As the name suggests, it's a kayak that you could fold up. So as far as where you're going to use it and how you're going to use it is going to be the same as with a sit-on kayak, because you're sitting on top, you're not covered in it, right? It's kind of like a teeny tiny boat. So the same issues, the same things. This is basically more like a specialty kayak. So the two basic ones are the sit-on and the sit-in. This kayak and the inflatable ones, they're basically about the same thing as a sit-on kayak, but they will solve certain problems. So as far as where you're going to take it, how you're going to use it, how fast it goes, and how easy it is to maneuver, or how inefficient it is the same thing as a sit-on kayak. The weight of the kayak is a lot less though. It's about 20-25 pounds, so that makes a huge difference. The weight capacity of the kayak is the same as a sit-on. Now, storage and transportation, this is where this kayak wins, and this is why you want this kayak. So it folds up, right? It will fit in the trunk of your car. You could take it up the stairs in your apartment and put it in a closet, because it's only about 20-25 pounds. You can do all that, and it's now not a problem. You can also walk down a half a mile to the lake carrying it, because it's only about 20 pounds versus the 50-pound awkward other two types of kayaks. So this is why you want to get this. So for all this, there is a price to pay. It will usually start around $600, and it goes up as much as $1,600. So they're pretty pricey, but it's because they solve the problems of transportation and storage. So this is very similar to a sit-on kayak. It's the same thing, but you inflate it. So the good thing is it's pretty rugged. You could use them anywhere you would use a sit-on kayak, but this one is actually also okay on a river where you might be bouncing up against rocks. Because it's inflatable, it will just sort of bounce off, versus this kind of kayak, it will crash into it. It's not gonna break, but it is a horrible feeling. So with the inflatable kayak, you have more places to take it. As far as other things, such as how fast or how slow it goes, how easy it is to maneuver, how efficient it is, and how much cargo space you have, it's pretty much the same thing as you have with a sit-on kayak. So the weight is also a lot lighter. It's about 25-35 pounds. So the same weight as a foldable kayak, which is a huge difference, again, from the other two. And storage and transportation, again, this is the reason why you would want this kayak, because you roll it up almost like a mattress, fits in your car. You could take it upstairs, put it in your apartment, put it wherever you want. You know, carrying it down to, you can carry it down to the lake if it's a little bit longer distance. You can do all of that. The weight capacity is a little bit higher. It can usually take about 300 to 400 pounds. So this one also solves a lot of the issues when it comes to weight. You can put more cargo on it if you want to take that camping trip on a lake or on a river, now you could take this kayak and have all those things on it, including your dog maybe, and everything will be fine. You can also get this as a double, so you can have two people go in one kayak. And yes, you could use this for fishing. I would just feel kind of uneasy because hooks can get caught on things and I wouldn't want to puncture it. I know it's very rugged and very, very strong material. I just would prefer not to do that. There are some fish with some really pointy fins and I just don't want to take a chance. But I've seen people today fishing from a 2-seater inflatable kayak and that was no problem. This one is also going to be cheaper. You could get them as cheap as $100, $200, $300. You're not gonna need to spend $700 or $1,000. So this is also good for the price. So hopefully this is helpful in helping you choose a kayak. You can also rent one. Lots of places rent them. They're really not that cheap considering for how little money you could actually buy a kayak. But if it helps you make a decision, then I would say go for it. So now you got your kayak. What do you need? Most of the time your kayak comes with oars. If they don't, you need to get them. But let's say you have those. Super important thing is a life vest. You have to have it. It will save your life, and also it's the law. There are different types of life vests, and they can range from $15 all the way up to like $150. And one style is a little bit more bulkier. I feel like it's a little bit more restricting because while you're paddling, they could be in the way under your arm. So I personally don't like that. I also felt a little bit kind of restricted while I was wearing it, but my favorite is this one. It's kind of like an airplane type life vest. When you need to use it is when you're going to inflate it. So until then, it's just hanging around your neck, out of the way, not really bothering you at all. It's also useful to get some water shoes, and they could be sort of like socks where you can hardly feel them, but you will be stepping on things in the water, so they're very helpful. And some are more like tennis shoes where you can actually hike in them, and then you can also get in the water. In the cold weather, you might want to get some rubber boots, and that way you could put on some warm socks and not have to worry about having your feet freeze off. Besides these, very helpful are some dry pants. So these would go on like regular pants, but they will repel the water. Now if you sit in the water, obviously you're going to get wet, but they're really good repellers. And you can also get a jacket, and these are actually not even expensive. For the cold weather, you might want to get a wetsuit. This is something that divers use, but you don't need to get the thick, expensive kind. You can just get a thinner one. And you could just get the shirt, or you could get the bottom. Either way, you won't be cold when the water splashes on you when it's cold outside. And a dry bag is probably one of the most important things. You could get large, medium, or small. Some of them are kind of like backpacks. I actually have one of each. You put all your belongings in this bag, and if just in case it ends up in the water, everything will be safe. As you could see, it rolls up and then clips on the top. Besides these, you need to get a handful of little clips. They don't have to be expensive or the very strong kind, because they're just going to hold on to your things. You can clip them to the strings on your kayak, and you can also get some lanyards. Some of them are stretchy, other ones are not, but you can hold on to your oars with them or with other things that you have. Here, as you can see, I'm wearing my life vest, a sweatshirt, my dry pants, and my water shoes. And as you can see, hopefully my oars are held to the kayak by my lanyard. So hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, there are some other kayaks out there, some specialty ones. I didn't even talk about it here. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave me a comment and I will respond. And hopefully, if you haven't gotten a kayak yet, you will get one now, because this is June and summer is here, and this is the best time to go out there and try it out anyways. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.